Yes, people's Keish and Prince. So today I'm talking to you about Dani Alves, about how he paid a price to get to where he is today. The reason why I'm doing these series is to encourage most of you who's going through suffering in silence. Everybody's got a story, you understand? And I believe the ones who have the toughest upbringing, the ones who have to escape poverty and lack, etc., are usually the people who have the hunger that surpasses people who have silver spoon. That's just history can tell you. We know that Ronaldo's parents, had 2 or 3 jobs. Ronaldo, we know stories of how he grew up. Rivaldo, malnourished. It's just tons of stories of professional footballers who had to go through their story. Mane, who I did a recent story on how he had to fled his hometown to another country. And sometimes, that's what it takes. It's passion. Passion over talent wins every day. I don't care how talented you are. At the end of the day, you're going to come to a point where your talent is going to be on the same level as somebody else, and you're going to have the will and desire. And that's what these stories are going to help and encourage you about. So let's go straight into it. So Dani Alves in an interview says, I'm 10 years old. I'm sleeping on a concrete bed at my family's tiny home in Juazeiro in Brazil. The mattress over the bed is as thick as your little finger. The house smells of wet soil and it's still dark outside. It's 5 in the morning and the sun has not risen, but I have to go help my father on the farm before school. My brother and I walk out into the field and our father's already out there working. He's got a big heavy tank on his back and he's spraying the fruits and plants with chemicals to kill the bacteria. We're probably too young to handle the toxins, but we help him anyway. This is just our way to survive. For hours, I compete with my brother to see who can be the hardest worker, because the one who our father decides has helped him the most gets the rights to our only bicycle. If I don't win the bicycle, I have to walk the 20 kilometers from the farm to my school. The walk back from my school was even worse because the pickup football games in our neighborhood will start without me. So I run the 20 kilometers back and just keep running right out onto the pitch. But if I do win the bicycle, then I can get the girls. I could pick up one of them on the road and offer them a ride to school for 20 kilometers. I'm the man, so I work my ass off. I look at my father as I leave for school and he's still got the big tank on his back. He's got a full day in the field ahead of him, and then at night he's got a little bar that he runs to make extra money. He was a hell of a footballer when he was young, but he didn't have the money to make it to a bigger city so he could be seen by scouts. He wants to make sure that I have the opportunity, even if it kills him. Now it's Sunday, we're watching the football matches on our black and white TV. There's steel wool wrapped around the antenna so we can pick up the signal from the city far away. For us, this is the best day of the week. There is a lot of joy in our house. Now my father's driving me to town in his old car so I can try in front of some scouts. The car is stick shift and it only has 2 gears, slow and slower. I can smell the smoke. My dad is a hustler. I have to be a hustler too. Now I'm 13. I'm at this academy for young footballers in a bigger town away from my family. There are 100 kids packed in a small dormitory. It's a kind of like a prison. The day before I left home, my father went into town, bought me a new football kit. He doubled my wardrobe because I had only 1 kit to begin with. After the first day of training, I hung the new kit online to dry. The next morning, it's gone. Somebody stole it. That's when I realized that this is not the farm anymore. This is the real world. And there's a reason they called it the real world. It's because it's real out here. I'll go back to my room and I'm starving. We trained all day. There's not enough food at the camp. Somebody stole my clothes. I miss my family and I'm definitely not the best player here. Out of 100, I may be 51st in ability. So I make myself a promise. I tell myself, you're not going to go back to the farm until you make your father proud. You might be 51st in ability, but you're going to be number 1 or 2 in drive. Wow, that's powerful. You're going to be a killer. You're not going back home no matter what. Now I'm 18 years old and I'm telling one of the only lies I've ever told in football. I'm playing for Bahia in the Brazilian league when a big scout comes up to me and says, Sevilla are interested in you, in signing you. I said, Sevilla, amazing. The scout says, do you know where that is? I said, of course I know where Sevilla is. Sevilla, I love it. But I have no idea where Sevilla is. It could be on the moon for all I know, but the way he says the name makes it sound important, so I lie. A few days later, I start asking around and I found out that Sevilla plays against Barcelona and Real Madrid. In Portuguese, we have an expression for this kind of moment. I said to myself, agora. It's like, bang, now let's go. Now I'm in Sevilla and so malnourished that the coaches and other players are looking at me like I must play for the youth team. I'm in the middle of the hardest 6 months of my life. I don't speak the language. The manager isn't playing me, and it's the first time I really think about going home. But then for some reason, I think about the new kit that my father bought me when I was 13 years old, the one that got stolen. I think of him with the tank strapped to his back, spraying chemicals, and I decide that I'm going to stay and learn the language and trying to make some friends so I at least can go back to Brazil with a new experience to share. And he goes on to talk about experience, but I want to leave it as this right here. That Dani Alves had a why in why he wanted to be a professional footballer, which is to make his father proud and to be able to be a breakthrough one for his family. And sometimes that's what it takes. I believe some of you are so self-centered in yourself about how you want to be the best because you want to win the Ballon d'Or or win the Champions League and all that stuff. That's not enough, I'm telling you now. And like he said, when you're up against 100 people, talent's not going to be a talent. You may be ranked 50th, 51st, 100th, whatever. But you've got to make sure in terms of passion, running, sprints, jogging, whatever it is, you're number one or number two.